If you know me personally, or even if you have listened or watched this podcast at any point over the previous 10 years, you know that I have a very keen interest in things of the paranormal variety. But there is a major difference, and I've talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast before, between me and a lot of people. I am what you might call as a extremely skeptical believer. I need a lot more proof for me to be able to label something as real. That doesn't mean I don't think the possibility exists for certain things of the paranormal variety. And I think you all know I am a believer in UFOs. If I was forced to pick a 51-49 decision about certain cryptids, like Bigfoot, for example, I would say the possibility is there that they are actually real. But then there are some that are urban legends that people still hold on to being true, and there's not a single shred of evidence that they are true. Like, for example, the Loch Ness Monster. That's long since been proven to be kind of a hoax, but people still hold on to the fact that there's something in Loch Ness that is either a dinosaur that didn't go extinct or some kind of creature that we've never been able to identify. People still hold on to that. And it's kind of been proven that that wasn't real. That was all a setup or a misidentification. And then there are the internet creatures that get created. Slender Man comes to mind. A lot of people still think the Slender Man is real, and it is completely a online creation, a chat room creation, a 4chan creation. And then there's things like ghosts, which you can believe in ghosts or you can. I tend to lean that there is some kind of energy after we pass on that may stick around for a while or get attached to a dwelling or something. It's all really in your belief system. But for people like me, I need a lot more proof. And I've sort of been teasing for quite a while that I'm going to be talking about this subject today. And I finally decided just to sit down and talk a little bit about what people commonly call rakes. So if you don't know what a rake is, take a look at this and I'll be right back.
Have you ever heard of the rake? This terrifying creature is said to stalk the night, leaving a trail of fear in its wake. Described as pale and hairless with long limbs, the rake moves like something out of a nightmare. Its eyes are black voids that seem to pierce your soul, and it's known for its unsettling screeches. Some say they've seen its claw marks outside their homes, while others claim it watches them as they sleep. But what makes the rake truly terrifying isn't just how it looks or sounds. It's the feeling of dread and paranoia that comes after an encounter. Victims often feel like something is watching them, even long after seeing the rake. Is this creature real, or simply a figment of collective imagination? Some believe it could be a cryptid. Others think it might be a demonic entity. Whatever it is, one thing is certain: the rake leaves people shaken to their core. So next time you hear something outside your window, or feel eyes watching you in the dark, remember the rake might just be closer than you think.
Now, as somebody that's spent the lion's share of my entire life being somebody that really was interested in and read and studied the paranormal, I didn't even know what a rake was until about 20 years ago. And there's a reason behind that. I'm not saying that because I think I know everything about the paranormal, because far from it, I do not. But the reason I hadn't heard about a rake is because it didn't really exist until about 20 years ago.
Who remembers The Rake? If you were on the internet in the late 2000s or early 2010s, then chances are this creature kept you awake at night. The Rake first appeared online in 2005 when users on internet forums tried to create the perfect urban legend.
And that forum was 4chan. It's where exactly where a rake was created, trying to, like he said, create the perfect urban legend.
Described a pale, hairless creature with long arms, sunken eyes, and an unnatural smile that would silently watch people while they slept. As the story spread, people began adding fake eyewitness accounts, journal entries, and even police reports to make the legend feel real. Some claimed they woke up in the middle of the night to find the creature crouching at the foot of their bed, while others said it would simply stare at them before disappearing into the darkness. One of the most famous parts of the legend was that the rake rarely attacked immediately. Instead, it would stalk its victims for days or even weeks, making them question whether what they saw was real or just a nightmare. The internet quickly ran with the idea. Edited photos, homemade videos, and countless real sightings flooded YouTube, convincing a lot of people that the rake might actually exist. Of course, none of it was real. The rake was a community-created creepypasta that evolved as more people added to the story. But because it was presented like a collection of real case files and eyewitness testimonies, it became one of the most believable monsters of the early internet.
We're not going to go early internet, but we will say it is one of the more popular internet created monsters or cryptids, if you will. And he's 100% correct that a rake was in fact created, much like I said earlier about the Slender Man, and people really started to run with it. And it became popular. It was created in sort of the youth of our ability to create home movies. And then I'm not saying that creating with a video recorder. I'm talking we had access to video making software on our home computers in the mid aughts, and it made it a lot easier for people to create fake things. And it's only gotten more difficult since with the easy advent of AI and everything. It's really easy to create videos of stuff now to fake people. And if the internet is anything, it's like the running gag. Like, of course it's true. We've seen it on the internet, which of course we all know the gag to that is you really don't know what's true and what isn't true on the internet. But the rake was created on 4chan in 2005, and it kind of grew into this urban legend of being real. So much so that people to this day are still making content about it, claiming that it's real when they run across videos and whatnot, as we're going to see in a little bit. But the rake isn't real. The rake, much like Slender Man, was an internet creation. And we all know the story about the Slender Man killings in Wisconsin, where the two girls insisted that they were told to kill their friend on orders from the Slender Man. Well, the rake hasn't told anyone to kill anybody, but people are really running with this idea that a rake is, in fact, a real creature. But there are people that post things and claim that rakes are real. So let's take a look at a few videos and dissect them as we go along. And as I stated, it still had started in 2005, and here we are 21 years later, and the rake seems to be more popular than ever. So let's take a look at the first video of people allegedly capturing a rake on their home security camera.
Here is one of the eeriest security camera captures ever. It all went down around 8:15 p.m. on January 12th, 2026. A homeowner located in the Cumberland Plateau of Alabama was alerted by her security cameras. She has cameras practically covering every section of her yard and home. Curious to see what was out there this late evening, she took a look. And what she saw had her and her husband puzzled and terrified.
There. What the heck? No.
Now, first of all, when you watch this, it's standing up straight like a human being would be. So you would think that's just a drunk human or somebody playing a prank on them. It doesn't look remotely close to what people claim a rake looks like, because more times than not, a rake comes at you on all fours.
Um,
See, it's walking like a human.
Their rooster is going crazy, likely disturbed by whatever this was.
Yeah, the rooster is going crazy because somebody is walking in their backyard. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, I implore you to watch the video version so you can get a good visual context of what we're seeing.
It's a pale, skinny humanoid just wandering around their rural property. It's captured by multiple security cameras, giving us different angles and glimpses at what this could be. They even access their cameras and move them towards the so-called creature.
the rooster's not too happy. Why is she in her freaking pen? What the?
Okay, now it's running away.
The figure doesn't behave normally. Its movements are jerky and unpredictable.
Yeah, kind of like it's drunk or something.
It looks to have a skinny body and a large round head. At some points, the figure is seen running around their property, but it runs with its arms out to the side. And other times it's seen crawling. A lot of these kinds of clips online are quick and don't deliver much context, but this one goes on for several minutes with rather clear footage and evidence, adding to the realness factor. The family also recalls their property is pretty remote, as you can see in the video. It's surrounded by lots of trees and not much human life, with no foot traffic. There's really no reason there should be anybody on their property. Others, including the homeowners themselves, believe this was some kind of humanoid creature. Maybe a rake, a pale crawler, or a skinwalker, lurking just outside. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below.
Now, honestly, to me, not that I believe in rakes, but I don't even think that's remotely close to a rake. To me, that's like somebody is playing a gag on the homeowners or somebody is completely drunk. It's like they got a bodysuit and put it on and started messing with them in their backyard. And the drunkenness you could explain for the strange way that they were flailing their arms and walking around and crawling and everything. But honestly, to me, it looks like somebody was just playing a gag on these homeowners, or the homeowners were trying to create some kind of viral clip for likes or attention or something. I'm not accusing them of doing it. I'm just saying that's one of the possibilities. But to me, doesn't even come close to either a rake or a skinwalker. I think it's just simply somebody either drunk or playing a gag. One of the things that really kind of bug me a little bit are people that are popular paranormal investigators that run with the idea of rakes being real. And I've showed this next person's videos a few times on my podcast, and it's the Supernatural Sleuth. And you've probably heard me kind of call him out before for certain things that I don't believe. And as somebody that's allegedly a regionally well known paranormal quote expert, he should know that rakes were an internet creation in 2005 and not pass them off as something real. But yet here we are.
There's a real chance this terrifying creature will watch you sleep tonight. In just a moment, I'm going to show you a picture of one of the more lesser known monsters out there. And that is none other than the Rake.
And it is not lesser known, but you go on.
The Rake is a little different than your typical ghost, spirit, or monster. This slender, pale, grayish skinned creature, which is supposed to have long nails like a rake, hence the name, is believed to stalk people's homes and watch them while they sleep.
Which is exactly where the whole internet creation came from. So he read that actually absolutely correctly, but he's passing it off as being something real.
This is allegedly a rake. Now, I can't verify the authenticity of this picture. It could be a complete hoax, but real or not, they're supposed to look very similar to this. And the rake is rather new in the cryptid ghost world, but I'll tell you how it might be true. The legend of the rake didn't start until kind of the early 2000s, and it kind of came about online. No one's really sure of the origin.
Yes, we are. It's 4chan, but go ahead.
Unlike the Skinwalker and Wendigo, which has Native American ties, this, if it is in fact true, which is demonic in
And we all know if we watch his videos, he thinks everything is demonic.
at its core, but there is a term called the egregore, which simply means that a haunting or ghost or spirit can almost be brought to life through the combined consciousness of people talking about it. My theory on this, if you haven't heard it before, is that these things are demonic, and if you look hard enough for a flying purple people eater, you're going to see it, because these entities will manifest into whatever it is you're looking for to keep you coming back. According to the legend, the rake
Is it possible to have a legend that's only 20 years old?
will stalk people in their home, sometimes for weeks or months, and sometimes will whisper things in their ear and watch you sleep. If you've ever encountered a rake or anything paranormal for that matter, I'd love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. My email is listed in my bio. Share any paranormal story, picture, or video you may have. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. God bless.
Now, I don't want to just sit here and pan on him because he does share some very interesting ghost videos. And I realize when you're sort of a full-time content creator, you need to fill your content up every single day. You're not a person like me that just sits down once a week and records a podcast. So I get that you have to talk about something all the time and you can't just show ghost videos, even though honestly, I think you probably could. But he's taken the idea of the rake and, as usual, putting it in the demonic category, which is fine if, clearly he has very religious and spiritual beliefs, and I have no issue with that. But everything in this world that doesn't go along with, quote, God's law isn't demonic. And I'm not going to get into that debate because that's really not my thing. I could, but I won't. But he did have a video of allegedly a rake that got captured, and we're going to take a look at that right now. And again, before we start with his video, I would just like to point out that I'm not just simply stitching his videos to debunk everything, because the Supernatural Sleuth has shown a lot of videos that I have thought very plausible. Most of them are kind of ghost videos, but I get the fact that if you're a full time content creator, you need to come up with things every single day to fill your channel up. If you're not, if you're like me that just sits down and does one podcast a week, you don't need to come up with stuff like that. So I'm not singling him out because of the content that he creates, even though there's a lot that he talks about that I vehemently disagree with. He does have some things, and I think I've played them on this podcast before, that I think are actually fairly plausible. But then there's this video.
This is possibly the best footage of a rake ever recorded. If Kentucky and Appalachia wasn't haunted enough, let me introduce you to the rake. This creepypasta creature came into existence some years back, and it has been terrorizing people ever since.
And again, he talked about it on the last video about how thinking something into existence. And I need a little bit more evidence than somebody just saying that to be true for any of these cryptids to be thought into existence.
The following video was recorded in Kentucky. I think it was up around the Moorhead area. I can't be sure about that. The guy who filmed it, he's been on a lot of TV shows. A lot of people have tore this video apart trying to debunk it, and as far as I know, they haven't been able to do that. They say it's a rake, but my question is, what is a rake? I think it's a demon that looks and walks like this thing does.
Now, he always goes back to everything being a demon, and that's perfectly fine if that's how you believe, but clearly he has very strong religious convictions and associates everything to a biblical philosophy. Whereas that's honestly, in my opinion, not even true. Everything in this world isn't biblical. If it were, then we would all be Christians. And clearly, there's a whole plethora of other religions in this world other than Christianity.
Tell me in the comments what you think.
Now, this is more convincing than the previous video that we watched of the couple's backyard. At least whatever this is bending over and kind of has the appearance of what a rake is supposed to be. But again, more times than not, the definition of a rake are they're usually on all fours and running after you. This one just looks like it could be a human hunched over. Now, honestly, I don't really think that's a rake either, but I think I've made it abundantly clear throughout this entire episode that I don't think very highly of the idea of the rake. So, bottom line, do I believe rakes are real? No, I don't. Like I've said at the beginning and throughout this entire presentation, they were an internet creation in 2005, specifically on 4chan, trying to create the ultimate urban legend. And the urban legend of this entire story is the fact that the idea of a rake has created in itself a cottage industry of urban legend. to where people think that it's real. And so many people have created videos stating that they have captured rakes on camera and everything. And I keep going back to the Slender Man, but that's the best example that I can use for something that was created on the internet and created a life of its own. And unlike the supernatural sleuth, I don't think that if we collectively think about it enough, it becomes an actual entity. I just don't buy that. That's a little too far for even my thought processes. Do I think things like Wendigos and skinwalkers could possibly be true? Potentially. I need to see a lot more evidence for them, but I understand those are legends and myth, specifically in Native American culture. But a rake is not. A rake is simply something that was created on the internet by a group of people, and it has grown a life of its own. And I'm not talking about an actual life, I'm talking about a virtual life. So, do I believe rakes? No, I don't. Do I believe in the possibility of certain things of the cryptid variety? Yes, I actually do. But do I believe rakes? Not even remotely close. Because show me something where they were actually real before 2005, and I might change my mind. But nobody will be able to find that. And people in comments can sit there and say it was before 2005. And when you ask them for their proof, they never seem to respond. But hey, maybe you've had a rake sighting. Maybe rakes are real. If they are, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what your thoughts about rakes are. And as always, if you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to click like and subscribe. And as usual, I don't have a closer for this. So I'm just going to quote the poster. We're all stories in the end. Just make it a good one, eh?